Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Good morning, Rush Nation. Here we are, another good morning fantasy football, and here we are just talking about it's going to be a bit of an extension of the theme. We've got our flagship show tonight, and we're going to do players that we love and hate at ADP with Pat Fitzmaurice of Fantasy Pros, very good friend of mine. So please do tune in for that. 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, midday Pacific. So do pick us up there and come talk to us and join in on all the fun. But as an extension of that, we're going to focus more on one QB tonight. So I thought today and this morning we'll do two QB. I thought we'd have a look at two QB sleeper ADP. Now, I'll caveat this slightly and say that obviously in charity drafts at the moment, a lot of those being held in sleeper, there is some ADP wonkies off the back of that Scottish Bowl, etc. However, I still think it's important to look at the ADP because the ADP is not going to change too much between now and August when players come on. This is ADP data from 3 days ago. They tend to update in 1 week or 2 week sprints. So if they don't update for 2 weeks, last week of July is an update, and then that is what people will be using as their guide going into peak fantasy draft season in Superflex leagues. And so with that in mind, I think that it's just pertinent to have a look at the ADP and pick out some players that I just, on my projections and my rankings, I feel a little bit wonky on, and places where you could potentially highlight some value here in Superflex leagues, and also players that you should potentially thinking of folding and leaving to somebody else, especially at price. So I've split these up into rounds, go about 15 or so rounds. So we'll just quickly sort of dive through this. I don't think there's any shocks here at 101, 102. I'm not seeing any leagues where Patrick Mahomes is going above Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. So that is a bit mad to me. A guy who hasn't finished above QB4 in the last few years. And we have to separate the talent on the field and the fantasy numbers. The fantasy numbers haven't been there for a couple of years now to warrant this being QB2. So, that's a concern for me. And the same goes for CG Stroud over Lamar Jackson. I just can't get behind that with what you're getting at the rushing position. So these numbers look very wonky from what I see in drafts. It's probably wonky from what you're seeing in drafts, but this is the official sleeper 2 QB ADP. So we have to pay attention to it. There's the argument that there's the flaw with Mahomes, and that's fine, but I just think there's a few little things that are off here that you should be keeping on. I think they're the only two in round one, but if you're getting Lamar Jackson at 7, that's a steal. This is redraft. This isn't dynasty. So, Sleeper does have the ability to split the ADP for just redraft only, which is why you see Tyreek over a few of these players. But, Mahomes there, I'm not quite in on at that price. Going to round 2 here, and there isn't too much wrong with some of this. For me, Richardson, I think you could warrant taking at the end of round 1. Oh, the other thing I'd say in round 1, if you look at how many quarterbacks off the board, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 quarterbacks in round 1. Now, typically, if you play in the UK, you're probably seeing nearly double that, and you're seeing lots of QB runs early. So that means a lot of people are reaching for their quarterback, and that's something to keep an eye on. I think 5 or 6 in the first round is fine. Anything more than that, you're seeing here Burrow going over Richardson. I don't quite sit on that board, but okay, I get it from previous performance and all of that. But maybe you want a bit of safety there. That's fine. But yeah, if you're seeing more than 5 or 6 QBs go off the board in round 1, it's heavy. and the position would be the fade. Fade QB and jump into the next tier. Bijan over Brees Hall. I can see these go either side. I get it. I'm Hall over Robinson, but I do get that. Puka Nakua at 16. I see some people saying that's too high. Yeah, but based on what he did last year, that's probably about right. AJ Brown, Prescott. I'm not in on Garrett Wilson this year, but that seems to be his consistent back end of round 2. That's his price. I won't pay it, but that's for you all to decide. I can't get there, but I know some people can. So, each to their own. But I won't be buying in at that price, so I won't have any Garrett Wilson again this year. And same with Marvin Harrison. I feel like I've done Marvin Harrison Jr. to death this offseason. I'm out at round 2 pricing, and I'm out at Saquon Barkley round 2. Here's another player I've done quite consistently. Give me these running backs: Taylor, Williams, Etienne. Give me all those players over Barkley any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Round 3 looks to be a really good round. There isn't really anyone here I'd say like I'm completely out on except Justin Herbert. There's better quarterbacks this year. It's a run-first offense. It's not a slight on his talent. It's a slight on the system. So I won't be investing in Justin Herbert. And I doubt I'll probably be in on Caleb Williams at this price either. But at least I don't hate that in the range of shooting for the moon if this is your QB1. I don't hate that play. I won't be in, but I get it. Like, if you think he's going to be a top 12 quarterback with the rushing, I get the strategy on that. I don't see it with Herbert. I don't see any reason to be taking Herbert in this range. I think that's a slight reach for me for Williams, but I get it. Like, I can see the logic on that pick. The rest of these I don't really have a big problem on. I think I'm kind of there. I probably am a little lower on Kelsey in the 3rd round, but I get it. Like, if you're looking for that premium tight end, he is where he is. Round 4, I think the ultimate steal here is Michael Pittman. I have him much higher up on the board. So I'll be taking lots of Michael Pittman. I already have taken lots of Michael Pittman this offseason. I'll be taking a lot more Michael Pittman. I think Rashad White's really good value in this range. The 3 I'm worried about in this range, maybe even 4 with Trey McBride, which are kind of covered off. I just don't see that volume with Marvin Harrison. We're saying that Marvin Harrison's a round 2 player, and yet Trey McBride will be slotting in here based on last year's production. So we're saying Trey McBride is going to have last year's production or more, but Marvin Harrison's coming in. And Trey McBride got all that volume because there was no one to throw the ball to. Both can't be true. Just both can't be true. I feel like I've had this conversation already, but both can't be true. So I think you got to pick a lane. If you are Marv's not going to perform as much as people think he is, and therefore we're in on McBride, then fine. Yeah, if you think Marv is going to perform to the level that you expect him to be, you're taking him round 2. You can't touch McBride because he can't go in round 4. There's not enough volume in that offense to support both in this range. It's just not. It's not there. There's no other two pass catchers that are this high. They're not there in any offense. So except for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, that's it. That's the only 2 that are up there in this range. So both can't be true, unfortunately. So yeah, we got Michael Pittman. I'm all in on well above consensus on Michael Pittman. I think he's going to have a monster year. I'm not in on Mike Evans at this price. I don't think he's going to reach the same level he did last year. I think you're going to see Godwin come along. I've said this a few times. So I'm not in at Godwin at this price. I'm not in at Diggs at this price. Dell, Collins, I'm in. The fact he's ranked above both of those, that's a red flag for me. I don't get it. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not in a Pacheco either at this price. Again, if we're assuming that all the targets and the offense is going to go in the air, I'm not seeing where it's going to go on the ground. There's better running backs going after him in this draft. So I'm kind of not there. It feels like a reach play. It feels like he's at the end of a tier and he's a reach. His price has come down significantly, but it's not down enough for me. He needs to fall another 12 spots in order for me to consider picking him here. Maybe in the 5th round, this all looks relatively good. I think Jaden Daniels is a steal for his rushing floor. I think Mark Andrews could be a steal here. I'm not in on Kincaid at this price. I think it's too flat. That offense is going to be shared around a lot. I've said that already. But I'm in on Samuel again with the Ayuk talk. He's going to be the main focal point in this offense. He showed it last year. He showed it again this year. That's a good price to buy in at. And the same with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is 2-3 years removed from winning the Triple Crown, and we're sitting here talking about him like he's washed. I'm like, guy put up pretty good numbers for a guy who was injured for a good part of the season and carrying an injury. We're just assuming that he's done, and I'm just not. I'm not ready to throw the towel in on Cooper Kupp yet. And I think if you're getting him in this range, I think some of the receivers in this range are really attractive. Collins, I think, is a good pick in this range. Andrews, I think, is a good pick in this range. Samuels, I think, is a monster pick in this range. So I think Kupp's there too. And then I think you've even got Metcalf, I think, is not bad value in this range. Nor is James Cook. So I think you've got a lot of really good players in this range. Even DJ Moore. I think you've got a lot of really good players in this range that you don't feel the need to reach for these guys like Evans and Diggs. Like, you don't need to. Because the guys behind them are better. So let that happen. Let these guys go. Pick someone like Achan or Pittman or White in this range, and then go back to receiver, because these 5th round wide receivers are tasty. There's a lot of really good ones to pick from here. It's going around 6. I think Kenneth Walker's a phenomenal pick in this range. Like, the running back dead zone is not dead anymore. Joe Mixon, I think, is a phenomenal pick in this range. Alvin Kamara, I think, is an ultimate steal in this range. I think you got 3 really good running backs in this range. You could start this 2 QB or Superflex league. Quarterback in round 1, a really solid upside player, probably receiver in round 2. Then you go back here with a running back in round 3, and then a running back in round 4. You go back-to-back receiver, or you could even go Pittman here and then go receiver and then go running back here and get one of these guys. Like, phenomenal. I think you're in a really good spot. You could go tight end here. I'm not a big Kyle Pitts lover, but I don't hate it at this range. Rather have Evan Ingram. I think he's the better value and he's going to get more volume. So I'm in there. Not a lover of the quarterbacks at this range. I mean, I don't mind Kirk Cousins, but I am a slight concern as to this injury and how he gets on. Matt Stafford, I'm more than a bit concerned. But I'm not loving the receivers in this range. Amari Cooper, I'm worried about Jerry Jeudy. I'm worried about the volume that's going to come out there. I think Zay Flowers and George Pickens could be really good value here in this range. The T. Higgins, there's some concern for me there. This next round, I think there's, again, some solid players here for value. Tank Dell, who is the guy I would probably target. He's the cheapest in this offense. I think he probably represents the best value in this offense from a pass catching perspective. So I'm there on him. I think Aaron Jones represents good value. I think Baker Mayfield in the 2 quarterback league represents good value. I think Christian Kirk as a 1 at 78. Do we really think that offense is not that good? I'm in. Like, I'm fine Christian Kirk at that pick. I think you're getting a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 for a guy who's going to be a minimum of wide receiver 2. Like, phenomenal value I think you'll get for Kirk there. Scary Terry, with like the world is out on Scary Terry. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1, but there's a good chance he's a wide receiver 2. And we're picking him at pick 80. Yeah, I'm in on that as well. I think I'm quite happy to be taking him here. James Conner, for me, represents the best value of all. I think he's someone who could threaten the running back 1 numbers. You're getting him at pick 83. I have concerns over the injuries, but I'll be doing that. And I like Ramondre Stevenson more and more. I'm starting to evaluate him more and more as someone who could be challenging in sort of the RB15 to RB14 phase. With that payday, it's clear that he's going to get a lot of the workload. So, new coaching staff, we expect things to be a little bit better there this year. I think Deshaun Watson represents the value of QBs for me. He's quarterback 21, 22 is kind of the range he's going at the moment. And I'm in on that. I think, I know if you don't want to pick him for ethical reasons, I understand that. But if we're playing the game as the game and it's just paper, he's better than the QBs going above him. And I think he offers you a safe floor and a high ceiling. So I'm quite happy to go with that. Other guys I think that are massive value here, Jaden Reed, I think is a massive value here. Chris Godwin, I think, is a massive value here. As I've already mentioned, I think these two guys are probably about 20 to 30 picks later than expected, and I'd be swallowing up this value here. Same goes with Njoku and Ferguson. If you're looking for tight ends, these are good value tight ends to be going for here. I'm not quite sure about Samir White. I don't know if he's getting that pure workload. The consensus is telling us the same. There is a bit of concern as to how much of a workload he's going to get, how much of a problem Alexander Mattison is going to be, which is why he's being priced where he is. And then Rashee Rice, it's hard to take him in this range, knowing a 4 to 6 game suspension is coming. We got Jordan Addison almost now back to back with him, and again, I think similar problem. He might not get a ban, but that's one to keep an eye on. I really like the upside of McConkey. I think he has the potential to be the wide receiver one on this team. I think Quentin Johnston is unfortunately not going to be the guy. And there isn't really a lot of attractive volume there. Or attractive targets. You can stick your neck out here. So Lab McConkey seems to be a guy that could just be situationally beneficial here to really pick up a lot of volume here. Jonathan Brooks, it looks like he could be ready to go at the start of the season. If he does, this is phenomenal value at 102. You should be buying in on this. It's a player you should definitely be looking at. He represents really good value in this format at that price if you believe he's going to go. And the same with Nick Chubb. It looks more and more likely Nick Chubb is ready to start the season. You're buying a former running back one at the pick 105. 9th round? Yeah, I'm in. Because if he's going to go back to the same volume, they're paying him a boatload of money. They're going to run the wheels off of Nick Chubb until he can't go anymore. So I'm in on there. And I'm also in on Jaylen Warren. I think he usurps Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is gone, and I think they will revert to the future, and it's going to be Jaylen Warren. So I'd be looking to get in on Jaylen Warren at this pick at the back end of the 9th round. Looking at the 10th round, Deontay Johnson could be a target monster. This is really representing a good value from him. Raheem Mostert, yeah, I guess we're expecting the wheels to fall off, but for the running back 2, running back 3 last year in formats, the 110, he's worth a gamble in this range. So I'll be buying in here, and I'll be buying in on DeAndre Hopkins, former Mr. 99 on Madden. That was only a couple of years ago. People seem to have forgotten DeAndre Hopkins is a great receiver. Pick 113. I'm in on him at that price, 100%. And I like Christian Watson for the upside. There is a concern he will stay healthy, but back end of the 10th for this playmaker who can put up 20, 30-point weeks, yeah, I'd be taking a shot on him. I think he represents good value here. Some of the players are, it's starting to, talk about players of ranges we don't like. TJ Hawkinson, I don't think is back till November, so I don't love that. Talked about these guys who are potentially facing bans. I don't love. I don't love Najee Harris at 90 either. And in this range, I'm not a big lover. I'm not sure Zach Moss is going to last the season. I'm not sure Keon Coleman is going to be a guy till the back end of the season. So there's a lot of investment there for a player I don't think is going to necessarily be the top trump in that offense. I love Tajay Spears here. I think he could jump. Tony Pollard, who's another player I'd be fading at price. I love Russell Wilson here in the 2QB league. You expect him to hold off and keep Justin Fields on the sideline. And I would expect that to happen and feel pretty comfortable there. And then these guys just keep falling. Gus Edwards and Brian Robinson Jr. We're looking at them now, and they're in the pick. Well, they're in the 11th round. Yeah, I'm scooping up Edwards and Robinson here, and Freiermuth. These 3 guys can all get scooped up at this value. It's phenomenal value. I like Jameson Williams here. I think he's due a breakout. I could see that happening this year. So taking a punt on him in the 11th round, I think is really, really good business. Isn't really anyone here I hate. I'm not too keen on Zeke, but I don't hate it at this price. Trey Benson's an insurance policy. It's going to be James Conner to the moon. I don't really like Trey Benson in redraft at this price. So I'll be staying clear, and I'll be staying clear of Brian Thomas too. got veteran guys that represent great value. Jacoby Myers is going to be a top 30 wide receiver again this year because it's just what he does. Tyler Lockett, the same. Again, these guys in the 12th round, I'm in. Jerome Ford, again, if you're concerned, he's going to have a role and he's going to be a premium player when, if and when Nick Chubb gets injured. So I'm taking Jerome Ford at this price. Back end of the 12th, I think represents good value. I don't want any part of Blake Corum or Luke Musgrave or Mike Williams or Curtis Samuel. I don't want any part of them. Like, I think them, for me, are just players I don't want on rosters. I think Khalil Shakir at the start of the 13th round is really good value. I think he's someone who's going to start in slot. He's going to get a lot of work. Plus, he might benefit from a few of these kickoff returns for touchdowns as well. So I really like him in this range. Jerry Jeudy, I think, is got a point to prove. I think this could be a good landing spot for him. I wouldn't mind that. And Xavier Legette, look, they've invested in him. Be interested to see what happens. I'm not really confident on his outcome, but I like the upside. I'd be buying in at this price. As with Adonai Mitchell, I think is another one you can buy in on the upside of a Shane Steichen offense. I wouldn't mind that one in the slightest. Plus, also Rashid Shaheed, if we're looking for those massive boom weeks, he carries that in spades. I'm not in on Dotson. I'm not that in on Taysom Hill either. They're players I'd be looking to fade here. So there's a few good options here. If we're going to pose late, if I'm looking for late round flyers, Josh Palmer, someone's got to come out of that offense. Why not Josh Palmer? Ben Sinnott could be the starting tight end there. I think you could get a good price on him here. So definitely jump in on that. I think they're kind of Troy Franklin could be good value here as well. Rico Dowdle is one I love at this range. I think he could usurp and be better than Zeke. So I love taking him at pick 171. Darnell Mooney is a wide receiver too. I think could provide some really good value there in an offense that's expected to be better. So I don't mind that pick there either. And if I'm going super late on some of these guys, Michael Wilson, the pick 188, I think represents great value. As a wide receiver too, he's going to get targets purely on the fact that we're going to expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to get a lot more coverage. Should open up the field for Michael Wilson to get catches. He showed flashes last year with injuries. I think he's a good pick at this range, as is Marvin Mims at 194. I think you're going to see some good upside on him. But the one I'm picking almost exclusively is Rashad Bateman. I expect Rashad Bateman to finally show some of the class that he has. And as a former first-round pick, I think this is the year, if he stays injury-free, where you're going to see the breakout of Rashad Bateman in that Todd Monken offense at Baltimore. Pick 196. He's effectively free in drafts. Make sure you add him as a late-round pick into your drafts. You won't regret it. I'm pretty sure he will not only outperform his ADP, but he will be a fantasy-relevant player. Maybe you're looking at an upside of wide receiver 2 numbers with some potential game-winning weeks in there. So to get that kind of player at 192, I'm in all day long. Let's buy and let's go along with that. But we're going to analyze this more in a lot more detail tonight with our good friend Pat Fitzmaurice in 1QB. So go and check that out tonight, 8 p.m. British summertime, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock midday Pacific time. Check that out. Check out our listener leagues. Link is in below, so make sure you do that. I look forward to chatting with you all later on. But until then, enjoy the rest of your morning. And don't forget, as always, keep rushing.